So, what on earth do military logistics, running nightclubs, and leading a nonprofit have in common? On the surface, absolutely nothing, right? But stick with me, because we're about to unpack how decades of experience in these completely different worlds ended up revealing a hidden pattern, a really powerful new way to solve some of our biggest global challenges. This is a story about turning a lifetime of personal chaos into a platform for global coordination. This quote, this right here, gets to the heart of a frustration I think a lot of us feel. If you're out there trying to make a real difference, you've probably felt this. You're staring down this massive challenge, trying to build a solution from scratch, and you feel totally alone in it. But what if the answer you're desperately looking for already exists? What if it's just, hiding out in a field you've never even thought to look at? And this leads us to a huge, universal problem. All over the world, you've got these brilliant, passionate people tackling our toughest issues. But so often, they're working in their own little silos. They're hitting the exact same logistical roadblocks and are forced to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. It's exhausting and it's inefficient. And that brings us to the question that changes everything. It's so simple, but it's completely revolutionary. What if we stopped working alone? What if, instead of all of us competing for the same little pot of resources, we actually started coordinating our efforts? What could we build if we created a shared toolkit of solutions that we already know work? The solution here didn't come out of some fancy think tank or a university research paper. Nope. It came from a life spent seeing the exact same patterns show up in wildly different places. This is the story of how a bunch of seemingly disconnected careers revealed a universal truth about how powerful coordination can be. So here's how those lessons stacked up over time. It started in the Army, where it became crystal clear that when the official supply chains fail, it's the informal person-to-person networks that actually get things done. Then, believe it or not, 2 decades in the nightclub industry was basically a masterclass in high-stakes coordination, learning how to turn your biggest competitors into collaborators to make the whole pie bigger for everyone. Later, the nonprofit world showed a really painful truth: how being totally dependent on grants and donors can completely sabotage even the best intentions. And finally, a small water project down in Mexico during a supposed retirement provided the last piece of the puzzle. You don't always have to fix the whole broken system if you can just find the right leverage point to intervene. So, you see, the crucial insight, the real aha moment, was that the specific job didn't matter. It wasn't about the uniforms or the DJ booths. It was about seeing the same fundamental patterns of coordination, of resource flow, of human connection repeating themselves everywhere. And that recognition, that became the bedrock for everything that came next. Now, this is where a really difficult personal challenge turned into a huge strategic advantage. A severe disability from a military parachute accident back in '95 meant that building something that relied on any one person, especially me, to always be on was just not an option. That limitation became what we call a design constraint. It forced an incredible innovation. The entire system had to be decentralized. It had to be resilient by its very nature, so that anyone, anywhere could help steward it. It could never, ever be dependent on one single person. So this whole journey of seeing patterns and being forced to innovate led to the creation of 2 distinct but deeply connected organizations. You can think of them as 2 tools for the same mission, 2 sides of the same coin, both designed to build the exact infrastructure that so many of us in the impact space are missing. Okay, so here's how it's all structured, and more importantly, why it's built this way. On one side, you have the Fellowship of Living Systems, or FLS. It's a for-profit public benefit corporation. FLS is the doer. It's boots on the ground, handling strategic implementation. Then, on the other side, you have the Regenerative Impact Alliance, or RIA. That's a 501c3 nonprofit. RIA is the connector. It's an educational R&D hub that weaves networks together and shares powerful tools and knowledge freely with the entire sector. This dual model is totally intentional. FLS provides the sustainable, hands-on services, while RIA builds the open-source community so everyone can benefit. But look, this isn't just some theory on a whiteboard. It's already happening. It's being applied on the ground in real, tangible projects all over the world. So let's take a look at how this whole idea of coordination infrastructure is actually creating change right now. First, let's head over to Kenya. Near Lake Victoria, FLLS and RIA are helping coordinate the development of community-owned water filtration infrastructure. And we're not talking about a small pilot project.
This is sustainable infrastructure built to serve 25,000 people. And the best part is, it's all managed and owned by local women's cooperatives.
All right, now let's jump halfway across the world to Trinidad. Here, the exact same principles of coordination are being used to connect two totally different worlds: the huge amount of food waste coming from the tourism industry and the desperate need for rich, healthy soil on local farms. The result? A circular system that's literally regenerating the land while creating great jobs for young people. Two continents, two completely different problems, solved by the same underlying way of thinking. So you might be asking, okay, how do you actually get so many different groups to work together, especially when their politics or missions might not line up? Well, it comes down to what we call the Venn diagram philosophy. The idea is simple, but it's really profound. You don't focus on where everyone disagrees. Instead, you build community right in that little area where the circles overlap. The practical, operational stuff that everybody struggles with, like volunteer management or fundraising or logistics. That shared challenge, that's where the magic of collaboration really begins. So, in really practical terms, RIA provides three main things. First, it acts as a knowledge broker, connecting folks on the ground with powerful, enterprise-level tools they probably didn't even know were out there. Second, it provides the actual infrastructure, things like the legal frameworks for partnerships and the tech support to make it all work. And third, and maybe most importantly, it builds a community where people can learn from their peers, so no one has to solve these huge, complex problems all by themselves anymore.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about explaining a model. It's really an invitation to join what we're calling a coordination revolution. The whole goal is to shift our collective mindset away from competition and scarcity and towards collaboration and abundance, to build an ecosystem that is actively co-created by everyone in it.
And getting involved is really straightforward. You can just start by exploring the free tools and resources that are already available. From there, you can connect with peers and jump into conversations about the specific challenges you're facing. And the most important step, you can help co-create this infrastructure, shaping it so it can be handed over to our friends in Bangladesh, in Africa, and anywhere else it's needed to serve your work. So let's just end on this thought. In a world that feels more and more chaotic and uncertain every day, the ability to coordinate effectively isn't just a nice skill to have, it's a superpower. And this infrastructure, it's being built for and by the people on the front lines, the ones who are turning that chaos into opportunity. The revolution is already here. It's just a matter of coordinating it.